minute to get up in here. Yo, what's good, Freedom Marchers? Welcome, welcome. This is Tyrus Bane, and welcome to the Definition of Anarchy channel. Today on Friday, October 22nd, 2021, I'm going to talk about the bullshit filibuster situation that Biden all of a sudden wants to get rid of. And we're going to talk about a little bit of what happened with Alec Baldwin shooting and killing a cinematographer on one of his sets with a prop gun. All right, we're going to talk about that shit because I feel like it's important this is an important lesson on firearm safety. And I want to touch on that. I want to, talk about the safe practices and the safe use of firearms a little bit. Now, there are all these agendas that the Biden administration want to get done, right? They want this Green New Deal to get done, basically, is what it is. The new stimulus package they're talking about. They want to get this physical infrastructure bill done. And they also want the voting law shit, right? They want to pass the voting laws. And for the third time, the voting bill, actually, that they want to turn into law, which would put the elections, right? Put presidential elections under the control of the federal government, right? Because for the longest time, it's always been about the states. The states control, they have the rules, they have all this, that, and the third. Well, the federal government wants that power. They want to control the elections because of all the nonsense surrounding the last election and voter suppression and all this bullshit. And they want it firmly in the control of the government. And for a while, Joe Biden was all about not getting rid of the filibuster because when you do that, you're completely cutting out the voice of the other party, right? Because there is a 50-50 split in the Senate, and Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker, and she's a Democrat, so she's always going to go Democrat. So if there's a vote, they'll always win. In certain instances, right? Certain situations, essentially when it comes to budgetary things, right? Like like this fucking bill they want to pass, the new stimulus package, right? They can turn that into a reconciliation bill, and it'll be a 50-50 vote on that, or 51%, or above 50%. But with other bills, like gun control bills, voter bills, bills that really don't have anything to do with budget, right? You need a 60% majority in the Senate to get that shit passed, right? And so Joe Biden was like, no, we're not going to do that. But we know how Joe Biden is. He goes back on a lot of shit that he says. He makes promises he doesn't keep. He said he wasn't going to push any mandates. And here we go. We have mandates. Every politician is full of shit, by the way. That's not to say that Joe Biden is the most full of shit president or politician. They're all full of shit. They're all liars. This is the bottom line to it. But he's willing to go back on the filibuster, his stance on the filibuster, temporarily for the voter bill, right? For the voting bill. Now, this is interesting to me because they're trying to lend credence to this idea that voting is some type of power that the people have, right? If you have the capability to vote, You have the ability to vote. You know, you can make changes in this world. You can make changes in this country. It's all relying on your vote. So that's what this is lending credence to. This is lending false credence to the idea that voting gets you somewhere in this country. That voting will ensure you have your rights, will ensure that you have your freedoms. When all voting does is let them know that you submit to their rule, right? You submit to their rule. Okay, I'm going to vote for this politician to rule over me, and I'll do whatever they want. Whatever laws they pass, I will abide by them. It doesn't matter how infringing these laws are. All you do when you vote for a politician is you're letting them know that whatever the result of that election is, you will submit. It's all about submission. They want you to think there's so much power in voting. Yes, there is power in voting, but not for the people. It's for the politicians. They don't care who you vote for. At the end of the day, they don't care who gets elected. They don't care who gets selected. It doesn't even matter if they're elected or selected, because guess what they're getting elected to do? They're getting elected to participate in a system of oppression. That's what they're doing. I'm going to repeat that. It doesn't matter who gets elected for whatever office or whatever the case may be. When they get into office, they are participating in a system of oppression that seeks to strip you of every right possible. Every single right. The right to keep and bear arms. They've already got halfway through with that. They already halfway took our rights for that. The right to free speech. They started with the whole you can't yell fire in the movie theater bullshit. You know, that's their justification. Or you can't yell fire in a movie theater, but you can though. That's according to the Supreme Court, but that's another story. Oh, you can't incite this, you can't incite that. As though what I eat makes you shit. If I'm so gullible and malleable and impressionable as to allow another grown individual influence my grown ass to do something, then guess what? I'm an idiot. You understand what I'm saying? The bottom line is voting, right? And getting rid of the filibuster. All this is kabuki theater. Because what do the Republicans do anyway? They don't do shit. They hem and haw. They go, oh, don't do that, please. Please don't do that. Don't do that to the American people. Don't do this, don't do that. Please don't do the mandates. No, they don't represent you. If they represented you, they'll say, fuck your majority. Fuck your majority. We're going to do what we can for the people. And if you guys keep going after their rights, guess what? We're going to turn this system on its head. There's basically 50 Republican senators that could make a big fuss, that can make big changes, but they don't want to do that. They want to say, oh, well, you know, we don't have the majority, so there's nothing we can do. Man, fuck that. You're supposed to represent the people. And if that means going against the rules, not showing up to work, doing whatever you have to do, going back to your state to encourage secession, whatever you got to do to ensure that your people are truly represented, that's what they should be doing. That's what the Republicans should be doing. Not sitting on their hands. Oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Oh, my God, my hands are tied. Fuck out of here. If they wanted real change, there would be real change. But there's not going to be any change that they don't want to influence. If it's not change they influenced, it's not going to be happening. Not within their system. Not within their system. Now I am encouraged a little bit by these certain states talking about secession, Mississippi and Louisiana and states like that, right? But what are they doing to further that cause? This whole filibuster shit, this whole voter suppression, oh, the vote, make sure your vote counts. Oh, make sure it's a legal vote, even from both sides. From both sides, it's a waste of breath argument.
10 north.
We need to recognize voting doesn't do shit for us. Voting for a politician to rule over us. Voting for laws to be put into place that we had no say in what the fucking word is. What the law is about. What's this bill about? How many of y'all have had a bill that you introduced end up on a ballot? Your regular normie ass, how many bills have you guys put up for a vote in the Senate and in Congress? Somebody tell me, how many bills have you submitted that actually ended up on the ballot? We don't even have a say on what ends up on the ballot. We just get to choose this measure, that bill, when we're able to choose which laws go into place. You know, it's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's kabuki theater. It's a lie. These people don't care. They have to keep up appearances. They have to act like they're doing something. They have to act like they're debating on this. They're debating on that. Nancy Pelosi sitting on the goddamn the next bill, right? The next what they call that? When you fucking help people. What was that? What's that bill? Recovery bill or something like that. The social infrastructure bill. She's sitting on it, won't let people see what the word is. Like, you can't even read it. They can't even read the goddamn shit. They don't even let, Nancy Pelosi won't even let people, let the members in Congress and in the Senate see what's in the fucking bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you expect to have any fair debate on what should be made into law and what shouldn't be? What, you know what I mean? How do you expect to have any fair conversation and discussion about it when you don't even let people see what's in the fucking bill? Can somebody tell me that? Listen, man. It's all theater. They're dragging their feet. They're fucking dangling the carrot in front of the people. And they're acting like our futures are in their hands. Well, you know what? Our future is not in their hands. Or, well, because we submit. Because we submit, yeah, I would say that. Yeah, our future is in their hands. But our futures don't have to remain in their hands. We can take our futures back. We can take control over our lives back. All we got to do is stop buying into the theater. That's all we got to do. Stop buying into the psyop. It's obvious and plain. Every time they do something, just know that it's a psyop. Know it's for appearances. Know that it's just meaningless bullshit. Every time the government does something, every time they pass a law, every time they do this, every time they do this mandate, this edict, that edict, it's all part of the game. And that's how I carry it. I don't trust anything the government tells me. I don't believe in government. You know, I don't believe in rulers. I don't believe in authoritarians. I don't believe in democracy. Democracy is bullshit. Democracy is how we got in this fucking position in the first place. Oh, the majority decided to submit. So guess what? The minority has to submit to. The fuck out of here. That's not how it's supposed to work. If you submit to a system, that's your submission. It's not my submission. I shouldn't have to be beholden to your system because you decided to give up their ass, with no Vaseline. That's on you. Just like I am not going to get snapped to save your life. Sorry. I don't care how vulnerable you are, how immunocompromised you are. I am not going to get a snap to save your life. I'm not going to submit. I am not going to bend over to save your life. And guess what? If I did get the snap, it ain't gonna save nobody's life. How is me getting the snap saving your life? It doesn't. Either you're protected from it or you're not. Either you transmit it or you're not when you snapped. In either case, I have what I do with my body has no bearing on whether or not you get Modelo 19. So, yeah, I'm not going to submit for you to survive. I'm not going to submit for public safety. Fuck that. Everybody needs to ensure their own safety. Everybody needs to have common sense, right? I'm not responsible to keep you safe, and you're not responsible for keeping me safe. The government is not responsible for keeping us safe. They act like they are, and that's why they have so much power. That's how they've been able to gain so much power over us, by convincing us that we need them to be safe. We need them to have the things we need. We need them to, look at what's going on with the supply chain. Because for so long, we relied on the government to ensure that we get the goods and products that we need. At the snap of a finger, they can put delays on the supply chain for weeks and weeks and months. Whereas if we had access to our own supply chain, if we manufactured our own products, if we didn't have to, rely on the shit that they got going on right now, we wouldn't be in this position. But here we are. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? And then they want to blame it on unsnapped people. Oh yeah, the supply chains are fucked up because of unsnapped people. Oh man, anybody that believes that, listen, man, I feel bad for you because you're a little slow in the head. You're a little slow if you believe that. The unsnapped people ain't responsible for shit. As a matter of fact, I say it's the snap people, the fearful sheep. They're the reason we're in this position. Because they're so fearful of an invincible bug floating around. Is it floating around or is it not? They can't even decide on that. They're so fearful of an invisible thing. They're so fearful of death that they're so fearful of death and getting sick that they make themselves sick and die. Yeah, I said that. They're so fearful of sickness and death that they drive themselves sick and to death.
Left turn ahead.
That fear is powerful. And what does that do? What does that fear do? It gets them to submit. It gets them to relinquish their rights. It gets them to actually believe that it's the right thing. Oh, we need to do this for the better of society. Who came up with that? I want to slap that motherfucker. Whoever said we need to do what's best for the better of society needs to get slapped. No. We need to do what's best for the individual. And then you go from there. If you do what's best for the individual, then it's going to automatically bleed into other things. Because you understand what's best for the individual, to be left alone, to allow them to do what the fuck they want to do with their own bodies and their own minds, and allow them to live life as they see fit, as long as they're not what? Interfering with other people's lives. If you live with that in mind, this whole do what's best for society at the expense of your at the expense of your freedom, it wouldn't be necessary. Because you can still form societies and you can still have structure if you focus on individual rights and individual safety. And who's responsible for individual safety? That individual. Point blank and period. And you're also responsible for not endangering other people by your direct actions. Not by not getting a snap. No. Will me not getting the snap put you in direct and imminent danger? No, it will not. Will me pointing a gun at people, a loaded gun, whether it's loaded or not, waving a gun around in front of crowds and going and playing around, is that putting you in imminent danger? Yes, it is. There's a distinction. Me not getting a medical treatment is not putting you in danger. But me swinging around a baseball bat in a crowded building, in a crowded room where people are 2 or 3 feet away from me, well, that's putting y'all in imminent danger. Yeah. At that point, something has to be done. Speaking of waving guns around, how about Alec Baldwin, huh? That dude, listen, man. That's why you do not point a firearm at anybody unless you're willing to use it. This guy had a prop gun. Doesn't matter if it's a prop gun or whatever. Doesn't matter if there's blanks, no blanks, dummy rounds, whatever. You do not fuck around with firearms in that way. What happened? Well, he got a firearm, checked it out from the armorer. Armorer gave him the firearm. Somebody didn't check to make sure it wasn't loaded, whether it was loaded with, an actual live round or a blank, whatever the case may be. He didn't check. The first thing you do when someone hands you a firearm, I don't care if you watch them clear the chamber and ensure that the magazine's not in the firearm and that the slide is locked open. It doesn't matter if the person handing it to you does all that shit, because that's how you hand somebody a firearm, right? If you're gonna give somebody a firearm, you clear the chamber, you take the magazine out, and you leave it open so that they can inspect it. Then you hand it to them. But first, you take the firearm, you check the chamber your damn self, ensure that there's no magazine inside, with live rounds, boom. And then you go from there. If he'd have done that, he'd have known not to point it at somebody and shoot. That was pure neglect on his part. That was completely 100% his fault. You do not
proceed about 7/10 of a mile.
You do not
West Vernon Avenue.
Point a firearm at somebody.
Slow traffic.
Period. Right? Whether it's real or not, whether it's a psyop, it doesn't matter. This is a good lesson.
In half of a mile.
This is a good lesson for anybody that even thinks about picking up a firearm to do anything with it. Always ensure that the chamber's clear. Always ensure that there is no magazine in the firearm, especially a magazine loaded with ammo. If somebody hands you a firearm with the magazine in it, don't take it. Say, hey, release the magazine. Take that shit out of there, man. Don't hand it to me like that. Completely his fault. He shouldn't have been pointing a firearm at anybody. Might have, like I said, might have been a psyop, might not have been. I don't give a shit. Don't point. Listen. And even if you do clear the chamber, and even if you do ensure that the firearm is not loaded, you still do not point that firearm at people. Right? Don't point the firearm. You point it at the ground. Right? You point it at the ground. That's what you do. You put if you're on the level, on the ground level, You point it at the ground, right? And that's it. Make sure that the barrel is pointed toward the ground, right? Away from anybody or any equipment that could be damaged or whatever the case may be. It's just completely ignorant, stupid shit. I mean, it's just completely irresponsible. Like for him, for what they say he did. They say he just pointed at the camera or some shit like that. They pulled the trigger. Like none of that should have happened. That shouldn't have happened. Firearm safety. Listen, I believe in the right to keep bear arms. I believe 100% that there should be no restrictions and no infringements on our rights to keep bear arms. Hell, I even believe if a child can demonstrate the safe use of a firearm, they should be able to carry too. If they're responsible and, they demonstrate the safe use of it, and they're not a hothead and all this other shit, I feel like, hey, your child, if they demonstrate they a beast with it, and they're safe, why not? Children, they participate in competitions. They participate in 3-gun competitions all the time. So that's how much of a pro freedom I am. But at the same time, you have to be safe with that firearm.
Your destination is ahead.
If you demonstrate that you're not safe with that firearm, then I'm sorry, that firearm has to be removed from you because you are now a danger to the people around you. I've seen when I was in the military, you can tell people 1,000 times what not to do with that firearm, and if they're new to firearms, they will do the exact thing you told them 1,000 times not to do. And you address it, right?
You have arrived at your destination.
I mean, I've been at the range.
This is now finished.
When I was in the military, and these motherfuckers, I mean, multiple times guys just waving a gun around. Like if you're at the range, you keep the weapon pointed down range. Even as you're walking, you're going from one lane to another, or you're going from the lane to exit out of the range, you keep that weapon pointed down range in a safe manner. Now, if you're gonna walk across somebody, and you point the weapon up so that the barrel goes over them, and then you bring it back down. That's how you do it. Anyway, pure retardation. Jay with open eyes was good. Old head Deuce. Meta slave in the house was going on. Yeah, Jay with open eyes. The plot of the movie is somebody accidentally killed somebody. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Blank steel fired out fragments, exactly, and explosions. It's an explosion going on, and there's still fragments of something coming out of that blank. Jamie Fain was good. McJob 18 was good. I remember when they did Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, Chadwick Boseman, etc. Chadwick Boseman. What happened with Chadwick Boseman? Chadwick Boseman didn't die. He didn't get shot by no prop gun, did he? Joe Dumbledore said, I'm so confused as to how this is supposed to be an accident. How you shoot a prop gun by accident? He didn't shoot it by accident. I don't know why they're calling it an accident. It's not an accident. He shot it on purpose. He fired that shit on purpose. Well, Jay, I think what happened was he shot at the camera or some shit. The cinematographer was like behind the camera. He shot the camera, and like it got her, killed her, or whatever. And then the director was by the camera, and the camera like hit him or some shit like that, or fragments of the camera struck him. I only think he fired once, from what I understand. So they say. Metaslave says, I know how you feel about the public school system, but we had hundreds of parents at the Chino Valley School Board meeting last night up in arms over the government overreach. Yeah. And what they need to do is up and get their kids out of the school system. They need to, you know what I'm saying? They need to up and they get their kids out of the school system. That's if you want to hit them hard, you want to get them to listen, pull their asses out of school. Jay with Open Eyes says, I'm tired of everybody arguing over unsnapped versus snapped. They want us divided from planned out events. We need to focus that rage on the people responsible for this shit. Well, you're not. See, that's why they cause the division. If the division is there, and the people that are snapped, a lot of them get angry when you're not snapped, and they want you to be snapped, and they come at you. That's the whole point. The fact of the matter is, as long as this is going on, you're going to have to spit facts about these snaps, because that's what the world is now. That, unfortunately, we're in a world where there are snap people versus unsnap people. Snap people can do certain things, and unsnap people can't do certain things. Like that's the world we're living in now, where unfortunately that division was allowed to be created by the sheep who believe in snap mandates. So I always say, it's not the tyrant. The tyrant does not have power unless the sheep submit to their power. So yeah, we can recognize that the tyrant is the problem, but the biggest problem are the people that allow the tyrants to have power. If we just ignore the tyrant, if they can't enforce their tyranny, if they don't have people submitting to their tyranny, then they don't have tyranny. So you have to kind of like battle with these people that choose to submit because they want you to submit too, and that makes them your enemy. Unfortunately, that makes them your enemy, because they're going to be the ones who snitch on you. They're going to be the ones who call the cops on you. They're going to be the ones who are going to, when you're running from the cop, they're going to try to block you with their car. They're the problem. The cops are the problem too, because they're enforcing the tyrant's edicts. You know, so at the end of the day, we have to take away the tyrant's weapon before we can take care of the tyrant. And their weapon are the police and the sheep. Yeah, the dude, you don't point a gun at somebody and fire. He shot that dude on purpose. Yeah, Chadwick Boseman died on the birthday of Black Panther's creator. Yep, I mean, we already know what's up with that. Paperwork is also a weapon. Only if people believe in that paperwork, right? Only if people believe in that paperwork. Like the Constitution, the people that really know that the Constitution isn't that powerful, they wipe their ass with the Constitution every day. And I'm talking about the politicians and the police officers that enforce the politicians' rules and laws. They wipe their ass with paperwork at the end of the day. The paperwork is only as powerful as the people believe it is, right? Like a marriage license, you know, marriage license, like, you want to get a divorce? Oh, you got to get you got to take this paper and you got to go to the court system and pay them to allow you to be broken up. Or y'all can just split up and fucking never lose the marriage license and wisen up to the idea that if I meet somebody else and I want to marry them, I don't need a fucking piece of paper to marry them. I can have a ceremony. We can be together. We can be together for 35, 40 years without a marriage license and still have things in place in case somebody passes away. it's called a will, and it's called life insurance. As far as health insurance goes, you know, some companies, if you want to have your spouse on their health insurance, then you got to be married and all this other shit. Listen, come out of pocket. Paperwork is only as powerful as people allow it to be. Bricks Basic Training says, bro, I'm no Biden fan or Democrat, but in Southern Ohio, it's a racist and Trump worship. It makes me kind of root for Biden. I'll never do that. I'll never root for a ruler to hush up some bigots. No, if they, hey, call me what you want to call me. Slang words at me all you want. Wave a flag. I don't give a shit. As long as you don't put your hands on me, we good. Call me a nigger. I've been called nigger plenty of times. I ain't worried about it. I'm not going to submit to a ruler because I want to shut up. No, not me. Nope. Jay Wilbur I said, I thought you knew the Chadwick Boseman shit. That's why I'm saying Hollywood is fucked up. Every time a famous person, I did know about the Chadwick Boseman shit, but you lumped him in with Brandon Lee and Jason Lee. Those guys got shot on the set. So that's why I didn't know why, what the clumping was about. No, I know he died. They said he was a certain age that he wasn't. They said he was 41 when he was 42. I know all that shit. I know that, 42 was a number of the, Jackie Robinson, and there are a lot of things having to do with 42. I never understood the need to get married. You can still be with someone. No, you don't need, hell no, you don't need to get married. There's a movie called Revolver. Interesting. Lucas is annoying. He tore down a 19-year-old. I see your point. What 19-year-old? What's up, shouting at clouds? What 19-year-old did he tear down? Listen, the amazing Lucas, he's a psychopath. He's a sociopath. He's a social and a psychopath. He's an idiot. The amazing Lucas is a piece of shit. That's all it is. He's a piece of shit human being who acts like every now and then he wants to act like he cares about children. He don't give a shit about children. He don't give a shit about nobody but himself. Oh, what? Somebody called into a show? Lucas is a piece of shit. He's worse than a grifter. He's worse than a grifter. And I heard that one time, I guess he did a video or something like that where some dude pissed him off. And instead of confronting the dude, he just was like, oh, I should beat him up. Oh, I wish I could beat him up or some stupid shit. He's a punk. Yeah. Jay Nobanize Forrest played a character in a movie that gets accidentally shot during a movie set. Then his son, Brandon Lee, died. Yeah. They both died on the set. They both got shot or something. I mean, it's Sage the World was good. So, I mean, we know it's all BS. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all kabuki theater. The problem is, what lends it credence? What lends it credence is the people that believe in it and the people that submit to it. They're the problem. Either you wake them up, tell them to stay out the fuck out your way, or you handle it another way. If they get in your way, and they're in the way of you and freedom, there's certain ways you can handle that. Metaslave said most Trump supporters weren't terrible people. Stan culture in general is toxic, though. Yeah, that's why I'm not a fan. I will never be anybody's fan. Yeah, Trump is definitely Stan culture. I mean, they're all Stans, basically. If they're rooting for a ruler, if you're rooting for a ruler to rule over you, and you're like die hard, they can do no wrong and don't come for them and all that shit, no one can criticize them, it's sad. TD Wade, hold on. Sean Cloud says, TD Wade, is there any politician in this instance that has spoke out against Patriot Act or even attempted to remove it? No, not that I'm aware of. Not even Rand Paul. I don't think any, look, the Patriot Act was bipartisan. You know it's real trouble if it's bipartisan. You know, if there's a bipartisan bill coming through, that means they don't want to waste no time stripping more rights away from you. So you got to pay attention to those, right? It takes the power out of their hands and puts the power in their hands. If anything that absolutely does that and is bipartisan, you know it's trouble. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta get ready to take my wife on a little weekend trip for a birthday. So, you know, we're gonna get that cracking. Shutting Out Cloud says, I dropped a video on your Discord about a diesel mechanic that got stung by the Patriot Act for buying diesel truck parts. These people are crazy. That's the problem. They aren't rulers, they're representatives, and people need to. They are rulers because they create laws that strip us of our rights that we have to abide by. They shouldn't be rulers. They should be representatives, but they don't represent anything but their own interest and the interest of the bankers. Decentralize the Fed. Yeah, get rid of all that shit. Decentralize the federal government. Break it up, destroy it. Get rid of the IRS, get rid of the Federal Reserve, get rid of all that shit. And go back to state sovereignty. And when I mean state sovereignty, I mean the people of the state have sovereignty over that land. Not a governor, right? You can like, if that governor can demonstrate that they represent the interests of the people, sure, whatever. But anybody that doesn't want to participate in that system should be able to opt out and do their own thing, whether they're in your state or not. If they're minding their own business and they're not bothering anybody, well then, more power to them, you know? Anyway, I gotta get out of here, guys. I gotta go. Much love, like, share, subscribe. And man, this kabuki, it's all bullshit, man, in my mind. So like, share, subscribe. I'll holler at y'all later, and let's keep marching forward toward freedom. All right, peace.